Hey everyone, I've got a stat that's going to absolutely shock you because investors are back in the market at record levels. This is a tsunami of property investors hitting the Australian property markets, changing the property market forever. So this is a brand new update and this one's really big. The ABS has just released fresh data and it's giving us one of the clearest snapshots yet of what's actually happening in the property market right now. And if you're one of those people thinking, I'll just wait it out, maybe next year when things calm down, I'll get into the market then, stick around because this video is for you. You need this information. And after this video, you'll have a much clearer picture over what you need to do in the next 4 to 8 weeks. Because this new data shows something really interesting. There's a new demand tsunami building in the market and it's already changing the numbers. It's changing the competition. It's changing who's buying and where they're buying. And when you look at the detail, it tells you a story, not just about demand, but about emotion. What's actually driving people to jump back into the market at the moment. Is it FOMO? Is it greed? Is it confidence? Or is it just that deep belief that property always wins in the long run? In this video, we're going to unpack all of that. We'll look at what the new ABS data is showing us and what kind of buyers are making moves, where the strongest demand is headed and what emotion is really driving the market right now, because every few months we get to see a new set of numbers, and when you start connecting the dots, you'll begin to see the bigger picture. You'll see how the market is unraveling and where it's actually heading next. So stick with me. Let's break down this data and figure out what it really means for you. The issue with the property market is as it's happening, it's hard to understand what's going on. It's always when you look back 5 or 10 years, you can actually see what did happen. You have to understand what's happening in the market right now. It's almost like in this video, I'm going to take you ahead 10 years so you can look back at this moment to truly understand what is happening in the market right now. So I want to share with you a big shift in the data. Let's start with the latest numbers, and they're pretty incredible. The new ABS data shows that investor lending jumped 17.6% in the September quarter and is now up 18.7% compared to this time last year. Now, according to ABS Head of Finance Statistics, both the number and value of new investment loans hit record highs in September. We're talking over 57,000 new investment loans worth $39.8 billion, the most we've ever seen. Investors now make up around 40% of all new loans. That's the biggest share on record, and the average loan size has climbed to a record 686,000, with New South Wales and Queensland leading the charge. But here is what is really interesting. It's not just wealthy investors diving in. We're seeing middle-income families, tradies, nurses, people who already own one property now looking to buy a second. And the reason? They see opportunity. They see growth ahead because the big banks are now forecasting house prices to rise another 9% over the next 12 months. And that's on top of 47% increases we've already seen over the last 5 years. So this isn't a trickle of demand. This is a full-blown wave. This is a tsunami of investors colliding with already low supply and massive migration numbers in the year ahead. So what's causing this huge tsunami of investment lending? Well, it's the perfect mix of 3 things. First, we've had 3 interest rate cuts in 6 months, record low property supply, and sky-high rents. We've had 3 rate cuts this year already, and that's reignited confidence. The government also added the 5% deposit scheme, and this has pushed first-time buyers into the market as well. At the same time, migration is still running at record highs. Now, in Brisbane, for example, buyers agents are saying competition has gone absolutely crazy. Homes that used to get 3 or 4 offers, now they're getting 13 to 15 offers. And some suburbs have seen prices jump 5 to 7% in just the last few weeks. Now, that's not demand, that is urgency. People are trying to get in before prices move again. So if you thought the market was cooling, the numbers are saying the exact opposite. Let's talk about the 5% deposit scheme effect. Now remember, the 5% deposit scheme officially went live on October the 1st. It's creating a ripple through the market that's affecting everyone. Here's what's happening. First-time buyers are jumping in with just a 5% deposit, and that's naturally pushing up demand at the entry level. I'm talking properties sub $1 million. But you have to remember, smart investors saw this coming. They knew the lower end of the market would heat up fast, so they moved early. They moved prior to the 1st of October. They started buying properties under the 1 million mark before the scheme kicked in. So right now, we've got both groups chasing the same houses in the same suburbs at the same time. And that is what is really driving the competition. It's not greed, it's not speculation. It's just everyone trying to get ahead of everyone else. So what you're seeing right now isn't random. It's 2 waves of demand crashing into each other. Now, as a property insider and as a CEO and founder of the #1 property investment advisory in Australia, this is something that we've been forecasting and warning our members and clients and the community about for the past 12 months. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the psychology behind everything that's going on. So let's talk about what's really behind these moves that everyone's making, because markets don't just run on logic, they run on emotion too. And part of picking the next boom area, the next boom location is understanding the logic, the numbers, and the emotion. That's where psychology psychology comes in. So Westpac just released its consumer sentiment report. Now, this index, they've been running it for a very, very long time. It's an interesting index to track and watch because it is correlated with what happens into the market. And that index just jumped 12.8% to 103.8, showing that there is more positive sentiment in the market. People are thinking positively about buying property. Of course, that's reflected in almost 60,000 people getting an investment loan in September. That's the first time in almost 4 years that optimism has outweighed pessimism. That means Australians are finally feeling confident again, confident about jobs, confident about the economy, and confident about property. And confidence, it is contagious. When people feel good about the future, they stop waiting, they start acting, and that emotion, that shift from fear to confidence is exactly what drives momentum in any market, including our housing market. So when you see the numbers rise like this, you're not just watching a market move, you're watching people's mindsets and emotions translate into action. Now, if you're watching the market closely like I have for almost 2 decades now, you can see this happening before it unfolds. Yes, you can look at what the government's doing, what the numbers are saying, what the inflation numbers are saying. It's all a cycle. And if you understand the cycle, you can pick it and you can predict it. So let's look at what's happening across the country. Let's zoom out. This investor demand isn't just happening in one city, it's everywhere. In Perth, house prices have surged 84% in 5 years. In Brisbane, 82%. Adelaide, 78%. Even Melbourne, which is still lagging, is starting to pick up, and we will see the growth in Melbourne. And Melbourne is now the top choice for investors in terms of volume of sales. Why is this so? Because it's still affordable compared to Sydney. You can get a house and land package for around $700,000, while Sydney is sitting at $1.6 million. That's why developers are saying more people are relocating for jobs and investors are following them. You want to be buying in all of these growth corridors where the affordability still exists. So investors aren't just chasing returns, they're chasing opportunity in places they can still afford to buy. Now, there are some big warning signs, okay? Now, of course, regulators are watching everything that's unfolding very closely. APRA has already told banks to be ready in case they need to slow investor lending again, because the last time investor demand grew this fast, we saw lending restrictions kick in and cool the market down. Right now, the RBA isn't alarmed, but they're definitely alert. They've already said a sharp rise in investor activity could amplify the housing cycle. That's code for boom, guys. So while the short-term outlook looks strong, it's worth remembering that every boom brings its own challenges. The key is understanding why this one's happening and positioning yourself smartly through the whole cycle, because knowing what drives the wave is how you stay on top of it instead of being swept up by it. So this new data gives us really clear picture of where the market's headed, and it shows that confidence, sentiment, and competition are all rising again in an environment of low property supply. The question now is, how long will this momentum last, and how far will prices grow in this mini cycle? Will it stabilize, or will this wave carry through into 2026? And what exact locations will it carry through the most? Of course, there's 15,000 suburbs across Australia. What are the top 10 or 15 where this will be amplified the most? And how can you use this information to make the smartest possible investment decisions for you? So that's what I want to hear from you. Drop your comments below. This is your daily property update, your 5 to 7 minute update every single day so that you can become a property insider. There is not one thing in terms of your wealth creation that will benefit you the most more than watching the property market and understanding the property market. So hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video. By the way, in terms of what the different locations are going to do across the country, you might want to start off with my video about Melbourne and what's happening in Melbourne. Check out that video right now.